السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Hello, in this video we will see the first part of the chapter 5 Protostomian Coelomates. In this part we will see Annelids and Mollusks. The first phylum is the phylum of Annelida. They are called segmented worms or annelids, from the Latin annulus, which means little ring. They are coelomate triploblastic metazoans, protostomians, and hyponeurians. They live free or as parasites. Their body is segmented with a bilateral symmetry. It is divided in three parts: the head, the trunk, and the pygidium. The first section in the front of the body is called the prostomium. It contains the brain and sense organs. The last segment in the rear of the body is called the pygidium or periprocte. It contains the anus. The second section behind the prostomium is the peristomium. The segment before the pygidium is the growth zone. Annelids have a pair of body cavities in each segment called coelomata. They are separated from other segments by septa and from each other by vertical mesenteries. They have a complete digestive tract, and the nervous system consists of a brain and the ventral nerve cord. The respiration of terrestrial annelids is via the skin. However, the aquatic species have gills. They can reproduce sexually or asexually. The asexual reproduction occurs by dividing into two or more pieces or by budding. Species of annelids can be gonochorics or hermaphrodites. Annelida are subdivided into three classes: Polychaeta, Oligochaeta, and Hierodinia. Polychaeta are characterized by the presence of a pair of parapods in each segment, which are used for movement, and they are equipped with gills and bristles. We have an example of the genus Nereis. Oligochaeta are terrestrial or freshwater species. The segments don't have parapodia, but they bear many bristles. For example, Lumbricus terrestris. The third class is Hierodinia. They are parasitic or predatory annelids that are devoid of parapodia and bristles. They are aquatic species with a body flattened ventrally. They have two suckers, an anterior used for fixation and suction, and a posterior one only for fixation. For example, Herudo officinalis. Mollusca are coelomate triploblastic metazoans. They live in aquatic or humid environments. They are generally gonochorics and rarely hermaphrodites, and they are insegmented animals with a bilateral symmetry. The body of mollusks is composed of a head, a visceral mass, and a foot. The head carries the mouth and the main sensory organs. The visceral mass is dorsal, and whose organs are protected by a shell secreted by the mental. The mental is the dorsal body wall that hides the visceral body part. The epidermis of the mental secretes calcium carbonate and conchiolin in many species of mollusks. This secretion helps in the formation of shells. The shell have the role in protecting the soft body of the mollusk from predators and from the external environment. Starting in the mouth, the digestive tract of mollusks consists of the buccal cavity, esophagus, stomach, and intestine, ending in the anus. Several types of glands are associated, namely oral and salivary glands, esophageal glands, digestive gland, and in some cases anal glands. Mollusks possess an open circulatory system in which body fluid, the hemolymph, is transported largely within sinuses devoid of distinct epithelial walls. The posterior dorsal heart enclosed in a pericardium typically consists of a ventricle and two posterior auricles. In the nervous system typical of mollusks, a pair of cerebral ganglia innervates the head, the mouth, and the associated sense organs. From the dorsal cerebral ganglia, two pairs of longitudinal nerve cords arise. A pair of lateral nerve cords innervates the mental, and a ventral pair of pedal nerve cords innervates the foot. Mollusks reproduce sexually. Most species have separate male and female sexes. Fertilization may be internal or external depending on the species. We note that hermaphroditism exists in some species. One of the main classes of mollusks is the class Gastropoda. Gastropods make up the largest class of mollusks, and they include both snails and slugs. It is the only class that has terrestrial species. They are asymmetrical animals. The head has one or two pairs of dorsal tentacles and two eyes. The mouth consists of an oral bulb with a radula. The foot forms a soul of crawling. It bears mucus glands. The visceral mass is rolled into a helix, protected by a univalve dorsal shell wrapped around the columella. The most common example of gastropoda is Helix aspersa. The second most important class of mollusks that we will learn in this video is the class of bivalvia. They are marine and freshwater mollusks that have laterally compressed bodies enclosed by a shell. The shell consists of two parts, called valves, composed of calcium carbonate. The valves are joined together along the hinge line by a flexible ligament. Between the body and mantle is the mantle cavity, within which hang the left and right gills, called also ctenidia. Although most bivalvia species are gonochorics and some species are hermaphroditic, sexual dimorphism is rare. The nervous system of bivalvia is simple and the head is completely absent. The general classification is typically based on the shell structure, the hinge, and the ligament organization. One of the most important examples of bivalvia is the Mediterranean mussel. The third class is the class of cephalopoda. They are exclusively marine mollusks characterized by a bilateral symmetry, a prominent head, and a set of tentacles or arms. The nervous system is the most complex of all invertebrates. They have a brain protected in a cartilaginous cranium and giant nerve cords. The sexes are usually separate in the cephalopoda. Sexual dimorphism is usually expressed in slight differences of size and in the proportions of various parts. The foot surrounds head and forms arms and tentacles. Our example here is Sepia officinalis. Here is an image of Sepia officinalis. In the next video, we will see the third phylum of Protostomian Coelomates, which is Arthropoda. Assalamu alaikum.